It's time for a Drunk Talk TV Music Industry News Desk Report.
Strap yourself in for where prohibited batteries not included, not available in the state of shock.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Drum Talk TV News Desk Report today, Friday, February 13th, 2026. I'm Steven Schinder, and this is Shiley Graf. Shiley, how are you doing this Friday?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, this week has been long and especially busy for me, so I'm very much looking forward to the weekend and a chance to kind of breathe and catch up on some work that I've got to work on. So, how are you, Steven?
Yeah, it's been busy for me too, but I'm also looking forward to some stuff going on this weekend. Going to a couple of different things, so should be fun. But yeah, just right off the top, before we go into music news and this day music history, all the stuff that we typically do, just want to remind people about this sale we still have going on until Sunday the 15th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So if you go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com and click become a premium member, you can use this code DTTVB14, and that's the number 14, at checkout, and you'll get a year of the premium membership for just $14. And we actually have a little video of Dan, my dad, the founder of Drum Talk TV, talking about it. So here it is.
Oh, it's the month of love, and for the love of music, Drum Talk TV Brilliance has a very special for you. That's right, for a full year premium level membership, you can get it now for only $14. What? For a full year. What? Well, check out the info in the post, but one of those things is really cool. It's live streamed fan Q&A sessions with big artists, record producers, and record executives, and so much more. Get away from the madness on social, all the craziness on the news, the distractions of everything going on online, and come have some fun. It's a virtual playground for all music fans. Drum Talk TV Brilliance, www.drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Use DTTVB14 at checkout for a full year for only $14.
All right, so definitely check that out, and all the perks are right there on the site as well. But now we move on to a segment that we enjoy doing as well.
Now it's time for
All right, so this might be kind of an obvious question to ask, given the day and whatnot, but what comes to mind when you think Friday the 13th music?
Oh, Friday the 13th music. That's a really interesting question. I mean, obviously, Friday the 13th is like more of a horror type thing, like bad juju things happen or whatever.
Right.
In a lot of stories. For some reason, my mind also goes to like Freaky Friday, which like I know is not the same thing, but like Friday, there's a correlation in my mind there. But in terms of music, I don't really know the sort of like standard like backtrack of a horror like suspense scene in a horror movie. The sort of like very low impending doom kind of sound that they combined.
Yeah, I think for me, it would also be like the first thing that comes to mind is the score for the Friday the 13th movies, especially the earlier ones, because those do lean into the suspense of it. I think people could also make the case that some music by artists like Alice Cooper, maybe some metal artists, could kind of be used for Friday the 13th, because it's like, in my head, it's kind of Halloween, but without the costumes, if that makes sense. And it's funny that you mentioned Freaky Friday because I don't know if you've heard about this movie, but a few years ago there was a movie called Freaky where like this slasher villain character kind of does like a mind swap with a teenage girl, so it's like the Freaky Friday thing but with the archetypes that you would see in a horror movie. I think they were even thinking of calling it Freaky Friday the 13th originally, but had to just call it Freaky. So yeah, that's pretty interesting there. But speaking of days that are significant, now we go into this next
It's
one.
time for This Day in Music History. Why not the whole week? Because we'd be here forever.
All right, jumping back to this day on February 13th of 2012, Adele won all 6 categories she was nominated for at this year's Grammy Awards. The British singer won Song of the Year for Rolling in the Deep and also received Grammys for the Best Pop Solo Performance for Someone Like You, Best Pop Vocal Album and Album of the Year for 21, and Record of the Year and Best Short Form Music Video for Rolling in the Deep. I am not the biggest Adele fan, but I know all of these songs. I know a lot of her songs, and this is really cool that she won so many awards that year. It was a huge year for her musically.
Yeah, definitely. And in 2005, readers of UK newspaper The Sun voted George Michael's Careless Whisper as the greatest British pop single of the past 25 years. Oasis came second with Wonderwall, and Kate Bush third with Wuthering Heights. The rest of the top 10, number 4, Robbie Williams' Angels, number 5, The Jam, Going Underground, in equal 6th, Sex Pistols' God Save the Queen, and Joy Division's Love Will Tear Us Apart. 7th was Queen's We Are the Champions. 9th was The Stone Roses' Fool's Gold. And 10th was The Undertones' Teenage Kicks. So definitely some recognizable tunes there. I can see why they'd be on this list.
Yeah, definitely some really big names and songs there. And in 2004, Led Zeppelin was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award at this year's Grammys. Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and Jason Bonham all attended. Robert Plant did not, since he was working on a new album and tour. It's very exciting for Drum Talk TV. If you see any of our programming, you know that Dan Schinder's favorite band is Led Zeppelin. So,
right. And in 1996, Take That, an influential 90s band, announced their split up in front of the world's press at the Hilton in Manchester, England. The band had achieved 7 number 1 singles and 2 number 1 albums. They released one more single and a greatest hits album in March of that year, and the single, a cover of the Bee Gees' How Deep Is Your Love, went to number 1. The band reformed in 2005 without member Robbie Williams, embarking on a tour before Williams rejoined in 2010. Yeah, some band split ups I feel like often happen like, you know, off stage or off screen or whatnot. So to do this, you know, for the world's press is quite an interesting thing, because I kind of feel like, you know, if it were me in that position, it would feel kind of awkward, you know?
Yeah. All right. Jumping back to 1989, these awards were hosted by Sam Fox and Mick Flood, in which just about everything went wrong. Lines were fluffed and bands miscued onto the stage. Winners included solo artist was Annie Lennox. Erasure won Best British Group, and Best British Album went to Fairground Attraction for First of a Million Kisses. British Breakthrough Act was Bros. Michael Jackson won International Male. International Female went to Tracy Chapman, and U2 won Best International Group. This was the last year that the show was broadcast live. That is really interesting. Some really big names winning some big awards there, even if things went wrong. And sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yeah. And in 1982, the marble slab was stolen from the grave of Lynyrd Skynyrd's singer Ronnie Van Zant from a cemetery in Orange Park, Florida. Police found it 2 weeks later in a dried up riverbed. That is really crazy. I don't know what goes through people's heads when they do stuff like that, but they found it, so I guess that's something.
Yeah, really strange, bizarre things that music can make fans do, I guess. I don't know. And also in 1982, The Jam became the first band since the Beatles to play two numbers on the same edition of Top of the Pops when they performed A Town Called Malice and Precious, their latest double A-sided number one.
Right, and in 1978, Dire Straits began recording their first album at Basing Street Studios, London. The whole project cost £12,500, which is 21,250 US dollars, to produce. The album, which featured the group's breakthrough single "Sultans of Swing," went on to enjoy a 132-week run on the UK chart. The inspiration for "Sultans of Swing" came from Mark Knopfler witnessing a mediocre jazz band playing in the corner of a practically deserted pub. At the end of the performance, the lead singer came up to the microphone and announced that they were the Sultans of Swing. So it's quite an interesting story there.
Yeah, certainly. In 1977, Julie Covington was at number one on the UK singles chart with Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, taken from the Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Evita. Covington had been in the 1977 UK TV series based on an all-female group called Rock Follies. Madonna had a hit with her version of the song in 1996. That's one of the most recognizable musical theater songs, at least to me, I think. I don't know a whole lot about Evita. I don't really know a lot of the songs, but that is one that I do know fairly well, and it's still a very popular musical to this day.
Yeah, I think back in college, there might have been a performance of Evita that involved students from my college, but I don't think I was able to see it, but yeah, very fascinating. And in 1972, the Greasy Truckers concert took place at the Roundhouse in London, featuring Mann, Brinsley, Schwartz, and Hawkwind. The evening was recorded and released as a double vinyl album in a limited edition of 20,000, which sold at just £1, like 1.50 pounds. The release rapidly sold out, becoming a collector's item. So yeah, I can see how that could be considered something to seek out among collectors.
Certainly. On this day in 1970, Black Sabbath released their debut self-titled studio album on Vertigo Records in the UK. Peaking at number 8 on the charts, the album had been recognized as the first main album to be credited with the development of the heavy metal genre. I think this is a very fitting date. It, was a Friday then too, so we all know Black Sabbath is tied to that. So,
yeah. And in 1967, the Beatles released the double A-sided single "Strawberry Fields Forever" / "Penny Lane" on Capitol Records in the US. The single spent 10 weeks on the chart, peaking at number 1. The video for the track presented the Beatles' new group image, since all four now sported mustaches, following Harrison's lead when he left for India in September 1966. In addition to a horseshoe mustache, Lennon wore his round granny glasses for the first time as a member of the Beatles. And I feel like that's a very iconic look for him.
Yes, definitely. It is a very iconic look, very recognizable. In 1960, Frank Sinatra launched his own record label, Reprise Records, in order to allow more artistic freedom for his own recordings. Hence, he garnered the nickname the Chairman of the Board. Once the label's founding principles under Sinatra's leadership one of them was that each artist would have a full creative freedom and at some point complete ownership of their work. Reprise later became the home of many influential U.S. acts such as Neil Young, Jimi Hendrix, Joni Mitchell, Randy Newman, and the Beach Boys.
Nice. All right, so moving on.
Let's see what's in the news at Jump Talk TV. Yeah.
All right, so participate in our monthly drumming challenges. Send in your submissions to the Trick of the Tail Drumming Challenge, celebrating 50 years of Genesis's pivotal album, the first one to feature Phil Collins as the lead vocalist, though he also played drums, and also participate in the Buddy Rich Tribute Drumming Challenge. Submissions will be accepted until February 28th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific over at drumtalktvbrilliance.com. So send in those videos for a chance to win some great prizes. Free members can submit up to 2 videos for each challenge, and premium members can send in as many as they'd like. And again, we have our deal DTTVB14. That's a discount code to be a premium member for just $14 for the year. So I'll go ahead and play these videos about those challenges now. Show us your drumming tricks in a Trick of the Tail Tribute Drumming Challenge. Competition open February 1st to February 28th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Celebrate 50 years of a pivotal Genesis album. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to official tracks straight from the first Genesis album to feature the amazing Phil Collins as the lead vocalist, though he still played drums on this one, of course. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Enter the Buddy Rich Tribute Drumming Challenge. Competition open February 1st to February 28th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to official tracks featuring Buddy Rich on drums. Delve deep into his discography. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Paid members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com. And we'd also like to mention that regarding the recent Ringo Starr Tribute Drumming Challenge, the winners of that will be announced Friday, February 20th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. So, yeah, be sure to tune into that at Drum Talk TV on Facebook and YouTube. And speaking of Ringo Starr, we actually have a little something regarding his son, Zach Starkey, who, of course, we posted an interview between, Billy Amendola interviewed him, and we posted that, and he has an upcoming event on February 20th. So there's a little clip about that event.
Before we go, let's talk a little bit more about the show.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, well, the show is going to be it's a celebration of music that I've been involved in now since I was 12 or even younger, maybe. I started playing shows when I was 12. Got some recordings of my first couple of bands, which are actually pretty good at, and I was really surprised. And a little bit of video,
so this is like a live documentary almost.
Kind of, yeah. And with a Q&A, so I'm doing what we're doing. I find this easy, So, and I don't really have any. Oh, don't talk about me, Dad. Don't talk about this. Don't do that thing. You talk about anything, right? Can't hide from it. It's real.
Right.
So yeah. So it is a bit like a documentary about me with that'll take questions, and there's going to be a special guest, legendary drummer joining for a few questions, and and I believe they're trying to do a bit of a meet and greet afterwards.
Yeah.
And
that would be a good idea.
All right, so definitely check that out.
Definitely. Our next game show is coming up on Tuesday, February 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Players have a chance to win prizes at our Love Songs themed show, so come check it out. We've had people win just by guessing. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com, navigate to our events page, and RSVP for the game so the link is sent directly to your inbox the day of the show. Alternatively, you can visit our Facebook page, go to our events, and RSVP from there. This game is brought to you in part by Medley Merch, fun merchandise for music fans. You can see what they have at medleymerch.com. Here's a video about
what concert would be your first entry if you had an ultimate concert journal? Your most recent concert? Your next concert? Or would you go way back like me and enter your first concert? For me, it was Led Zeppelin. Now you can with the I Was There personalized music performance diary premium hardcover book. This is for all live music fans who experience live shows from clubs to stadiums. And what an amazing keepsake, and it makes a great gift. Use Drum Talk TV 25 at checkout for a one-time 25% discount, so load up. Get yours now via the link in the post.
Yeah, so definitely come to our game show. It's a lot of fun. All right, now for other stuff going on at Drum Talk TV. Drummer Nick DiVirgilio, who is in Big Big Train, and they have a new album out called Woodka, which is an incredible sounding album. Nick couldn't do the Monday interview, so we're seeing if we can reschedule. He said he'd like to try for a different time, so we'll keep you posted. Keep an eye out on the events calendar, and we'll put it on there as soon as we get that squared away. Hopefully schedules can still align. But yeah, he's a drummer for Big Big Train, and he's also worked with Spock's Beard, Steve Hackett. He's had a really awesome career. On Thursday, over on Yes Shift, so last night, Dad and I interviewed multi-instrumentalist Leon Alvarado, who has a new album coming out February 27th titled The Wicked Forest, featuring Yes members Billy Sherwood and John Davison, as well as the late Johnny Bruns. More Yes Shift stuff coming up as well, such as my vlog about Symphonic Live, which I'll do tomorrow at noon Pacific, and a discussion between me and Dan about the Yes album on its 55th anniversary, February 19th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And at some point, I'll be ready with a review of the Tales from Topographic Ocean Super Deluxe Edition. It's a lot of discs to listen through, and I've been spacing them apart so that it doesn't feel too overwhelming. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out on the events calendar and check out the conversation we had with Leon. It was an awesome prog discussion.
Yes, definitely check out all of that. Also, just before this broadcast at 9 a.m. Pacific, Dan and Lou Calderola went live for another episode of Under the Influence, one of our DTTV original series. If you missed it, you can check it out on our socials, Facebook and YouTube, in the archives, along with all past episodes of Under the Influence, Rhythm and Lows, Drumming Injury Talk, and so much more. We have so many fun original programs. There's something out there for everyone, so definitely check us out.
Yeah, and speaking of our other original series, on Wednesday, February 18th at 12 p.m. Pacific, Dan will be joined by Jeff Berlin for another episode of Rhythm and Lows, where they talk all things bass and drum duos. And on Thursday, February 19th at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, Dan will go live with Doctors Michelle Schechter and Eric Sandler for another episode of Plugged into Hearing Health. So if you have any questions about hearing and all of that, you can try tuning in live and send in your comments, be part of the discussion. But now, once again, we have to take a moment to shift gears.
And now a moment to acknowledge those who have passed.
Okay. Ken Peplowski, famed jazz clarinetist and saxophonist, passed away earlier in the month. Entertainment Weekly reported that he was found dead on board the Celebrity Summit cruise ship on Sunday, February 1st, the final day of the Jazz Cruise 26. Peplowski missed a performance on the ship beside Shelley Berg, one of his closest friends and colleagues, which caused immediate concern. Peplowski's interest in music and performance started young, and he once shared that playing weddings, dances, and gigs for local TV and radio shows taught him the most about music, saying, quote, "It's exactly like learning to swim by being thrown into the water," unquote. He joined the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra after his first year of college and moved to New York in 1980. He released more than a dozen albums for Concord Records as a band leader and is credited as a sideman for numerous artists, including Charlie Bird, Leon Redbone, Susanna McCorkle, Dick Hyman, and Mel Torm. He also collaborated with artists like Madonna, Peggy Lee, Rosemary Clooney, and more. He was 66 years old.
Yeah, so he definitely collaborated with a lot of different people there. That's quite the career. All right, so next one is Brad Arnold, founder and lead singer for rock band Three Doors Down, who passed away on Saturday, February 7th. Reuters reported that his passing comes just 9 months after he shared his diagnosis with kidney cancer. In May of 2025, the band canceled their 2025 summer tour due to his illness. The band formed in 1996 and rose to popularity in 2000 with the release of their song Kryptonite, which peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Their other hits include When I'm Gone and Here Without You, both top 5 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. Quote, "As a founding member, vocalist, and original drummer of Three Doors Down, Brad helped redefine mainstream rock music, blending post-grunge accessibility with emotionally direct songwriting and lyrical themes that resonated with everyday listeners," unquote. And that's from the band in a statement that was posted on their official Instagram account. Arnold was 47 years old. So yeah, definitely gone too soon. And Three Doors Down, even though I haven't done a deep dive of their discography, their hits were unavoidable, and they're just, they really resonated with a lot of people and were fun to listen to. So yeah, definitely a huge loss.
Yes, certainly. Kryptonite is one of the most recognizable songs in that genre, I think. So definitely gone far too early. Fred Smith, bassist for New York punk band Television, passed away earlier this month. People reported that the band's guitarist Jimmy Ripp announced his bandmate's passing on social media, and later his wife confirmed that he died from cancer. Smith began his career as a bassist for Angel and the Snake, which later became Blondie. He left the band in 1975 to join Television and replaced founding bassist Richard Hell. While Television split up after their sophomore album Adventure was released in 1978, Smith was later part of the band's 1992 reunion and performed with them until the 2010s. He also contributed to solo albums for Television frontman Tom Verlaine, guitarist Richard Lloyd, The Roches, Willie Nile, Peregrine, and the Revlons. He also toured and recorded with the Fleshtones in the late 1980s. Quote, "He was a great running buddy and exactly the guy you wanted around when road life got wearisome," unquote, Rip wrote on Instagram. Quote, "His sense of humor, much like his musical voice, was dry, subtle, to the point, hilarious, and always left you wanting more. Yesterday, he left this world, leaving so many who loved him wanting so much more of him." Smith was 77 years old.
Right. And last one for this segment, Greg Brown, founding guitarist of Cake, passed away this week. Vice reported that the band shared an official statement on February 7th, stating that he passed after a, quote, "brief illness," unquote. The band formed in 1991, and Brown played on their first 2 albums, 1994's Motorcade of Generosity and 1996's Fashion Nugget. He left the group before their 3rd album dropped in 1998, but returned to contribute a song to their 2011 album. He formed the band Death Ray and released an album in 2000 and released a solo EP in 2023. He is best known for penning the Cake song The Distance and co-wrote many songs on their debut album. The band's statement said in part, quote, "Greg was an integral part of Cake's early sound and development. His creative contributions were immense, and his presence, both musical and personal, will be deeply missed. Godspeed, Greg," unquote. He was 56 years old. So, yeah, it's very nice of them to acknowledge what he brought to that early part of the band. I imagine maybe they've changed a bit over the years in terms of their sound, perhaps, as happens with a lot of bands. But yeah, you gotta acknowledge the people who were there in the different eras and whatnot. All right, so
certainly.
Now we once again get into what else is going on with music.
Now let's see what's been going on this week in the music industry.
Here's another reminder that the Delaware Drum Show is coming up on Sunday, February 22nd. There will be clinicians, vendors, and more that you'll want to check out. So here's a video that includes all the info about the event.
Yeah, so go to Delaware Drum for all the details. It's $25 for admission, and there will be prizes and raffles and some awesome clinicians you'll want to see. All right, so musical group New Power Generation, which served as Prince's backing band from 1990 to 2013, is officially changing its name to the Minneapolis Sound All-Star Band. Billboard reported that New Power Generation's ability to use a trademarked name has expired, and Global Music Rights no longer permits tribute acts to perform sets of Prince's material. The group sees this change as a chance to focus on new music, which is set to release this year. Quote, "This allows us to evolve and expand," unquote, says New Power Generation's keyboardist Morris Hayes, who also served as Prince's musical director. Quote, "It feels like the floodgates opened and there are endless possibilities in front of us. The name change was definitely overdue. It feels very liberating," unquote. The group ceased using the trademarked name in 2022, but did continue to perform Prince's music, frequently billing itself as the music of Prince. They hope to represent and, quote, "be a part of the soul of the sound of the Twin Cities," unquote, according to Hayes. The group will continue to play a handful of Prince songs in its sets, but the main focus will be the music that band members have been working on, both separately and together, in the last few years. So that's a very interesting development. Prince's music is so iconic, so I'm sure lots of people would love to play that stuff. But yeah, it does remind me of how, even with bands themselves, there's been disputes over the use of a name. I remember one band ended up having to even change the name of one of its new albums, take off the band name even after it had been released for a while and replace it with a different artist name. And I don't know what that other band is up to now, but point being, lots of people, well, maybe not lots, but some people might see something like this as, oh man, I really wish we could like do this. But I think it's nice that they're looking at this as an opportunity to, yeah, we can focus on new music, but still represent the spirit of the music that's part of our, history and whatnot. And, I'm always all for wanting to try out new music. So I think that's great the way that they're looking at this.
Yeah, certainly. This is pretty big news, and it's a great opportunity for them to grow as musicians. So very awesome. The 36th annual Rocky Mountain Folks Festival is taking shape and embracing nostalgia and legacy with the lineup. Parade reported that this week, the festival announced that Annie DeFranco, an influential folk voice that emerged in the 1990s, will headline the event this year. She rose to prominence in the early 90s as an independent artist, founding her own label, Righteous Babe Records, and building a devoted following with relentless touring and the personal songwriting. She has released over 20 studio albums and earned a reputation for blending folk, punk, and political commentary in a way that has reshaped the genre. The festival, which will take place in Lyons, Colorado on August 7th through 9th, will also feature Jesse Wells, Junior Brown, Valerie June, the Strumbellas, Tommy Prine, and more. Their recent Instagram announcement also teased a bigger headline act that will be revealed soon. This is very exciting. I'm not a super folksy person. I don't listen to a lot of that music, but I have heard a lot of it. And actually, coincidentally, when I was writing this, I was listening to some music and Jesse Wells came up on my mix. And so I thought that was really interesting and a fun little, like, oh, I just wrote about this. So it's really great music, and I'm glad that they are getting some big names in there.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on who else gets revealed for that. Iconic 80s heavy metal band Twisted Sister shared some saddening news this week. Parade reported that the band was forced to cancel their scheduled 50th anniversary tour this year due to the resignation of their lead singer, Dee Snider. The singer began experiencing severe effects of his degenerative arthritis, leading to his quick resignation. Guitarist JJ French shared more details about the decision in a video posted to social media, saying, quote, "For the last 50 years, me and Eddie have stood side by side with Dee, not with hundreds of shows, but with thousands of shows. I can tell you when it comes to Dee, he left it on the stage. He gave everything his all, and his body is now telling him, I can't give you anymore. And when someone tells you that, you have to accept it and you have to move on," unquote. French shared that he and Eddie Ojeda are looking at alternative options to allow them to continue to perform, promising to give updates as soon as he can. So it's a good thing that they were able to, be real about this and the limitations and whatnot. So, hoping for the best, health-wise, but also very curious what the alternative options could end up being. Would it be like touring as a different act with a different name? We're talking earlier about the trademark thing with New Power Generation. So I'm curious to see what ends up happening now.
Yeah, certainly. Again, it's another great example of musicians prioritizing their health, and it's unfortunate that he's dealing with this, but he's got to take care of it and try and be as healthy as he can. Psychedelic rock band Tame Impala, which is led by Kevin Parker and his live band, is going on tour in North America July through September of this year, and two big names in television are joining in support. Parade reported that Joe Curie of Stranger Things and his live band, and Dominic Fike of Euphoria are joining in the fun. Joe spent most of 2025 on the road, headlining major festivals and playing concerts across countries and continents. In September 2025, Tame Impala released the song Loser, the music video for which features Joe Curie. Joe will support the first half of the North American leg, kicking off in Miami, Florida on July 7th. His last supporting show will be Nashville on August 4th. Dominic Fike's first date on the tour is August 25th in Columbus, Ohio. So a couple of things about this. First, I actually just started watching Stranger Things. I've never seen anything before. Back in January, I started watching it.
Oh, so right
I
after it
just
ended.
finished season 3 a couple weeks ago. I haven't gotten back into it. I think. Yeah, exactly. I had to wait. I'm not going to sit there for years like everyone else did. So
Yeah, that's
really
what
fun.
everyone
I've been
complained
really
about.
enjoying. Exactly. And so I really enjoyed the show and everything. So Joe Curie is really good in that. Also, I have recently been getting into Tame Impala. I've actually been putting on their music while I write these and just when I have some free time, just because I really like the sound. They came out with a song, I think in October, called Dracula, that I love the beat of it. I love the just everything, the whole vibe. So I've been getting into it. So it's very exciting to see that they're going on tour and pairing up with these pretty big names.
Right. And speaking of Columbus, Ohio, just a quick shout out to Casey Cunningham commenting, based in Columbus, Ohio. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll look into that you mentioned. But okay, so next up, rock icon John Fogerty, the frontman and creative force behind Creedence Clearwater Revival, will be given the highest honor at this year's Songwriters Hall of Fame. Parade reported that the artist will receive the Johnny Mercer Award, the SHOF's top honor, during the induction and awards gala on June 11th in New York. The Johnny Mercer Award is a special honor given to recipients, quote, whose body of work is of such high quality and impact that it upholds the high standards set by Johnny Mercer. This award was established in 1980 and modeled after Mercer, and arguably one of the most important American songwriters and lyricists of the 20th century. So, yeah, that's quite an honor there. So, really cool that that's happening.
Certainly. And after nearly a decade on the stage, Moulin Rouge the musical is officially ending its Broadway run. Parade reported that the Jukebox musical, based on Baz Luhrmann's movie of the same name, will play its final show on July 26th. The story, set in Paris, follows a young composer who falls in love with a courtesan cast member of the Moulin Rouge cabaret show. Musical numbers include renditions of The Sound of Music, Every Breath You Take, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, and Seven Nation Army. Producer Carmen Pavlovic of Global Creatures said, quote, "It's truly been the honor of a lifetime bringing this exceptional show to Broadway. We couldn't have done it without Baz Luhrmann and Catherine Martin's trust in allowing us to adapt their iconic film for the stage and for their creative guidance and generosity throughout. Alex Timber's vision and leadership, along with the passion and artistry of our entire creative team, has been unmatched," unquote. The production has also teased some exciting announcements coming up before their final bow. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. I personally am a pretty big musical theater fan. I will say Moulin Rouge, the musical, is not one I've seen, but I have seen the movie actually just a couple months ago. And let me tell you, that movie is a fever dream. Definitely not a highly rated movie, in my opinion. I certainly don't plan on watching it ever again, but it was definitely a fun time. And, I had I made some memorable moments with my friends watching it. So,
yeah, I think I watched it 10 or 11 years ago and I wasn't sure what to make of it. But I do know people who say, like, oh, I love Moulin Rouge. And I'm like, oh, really? But, it resonates with some people, I guess. So, this stage show, I'm sure, left a mark for some people. 2000s rock band Simple Plan is hitting the road in North America this summer in celebration of their 25th anniversary. Parade reported that Bowling for Soup and 3OH, I don't know if you say the explanation point as well, but there's a 3 at the end of it, so 3OH3 maybe, will join them for their Bigger Than You Think tour, the sequel that kicks off in Las Vegas on July 24th. The tour will wrap up on August 20th in Toronto. Tickets became available earlier this week, and Simple Plan is using the tour to give back. For every ticket sold, the band will donate $1 to the Simple Plan Foundation, which was founded in 2005. The foundation focuses on supporting young people in need and using music as a tool for inspiration and purpose. So, yeah, that's very generous of them to do that. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. This is very exciting. I think that band, their name is probably just pronounced 303, which might be a shout out to an area code. I'm not sure. That's just my best guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyways, going on to yeah, going on, Stuart Copeland, former drummer of the Police, announced this week that his speaking book tour is hitting the U.S. this summer. Parade reported that his tour, focusing on his autobiography, Have I Said Too Much, will kick off in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on June 3rd and wrap up in Virginia on August 7th. The show offers an evening with Copeland as he discusses his days in the police, life as a Hollywood star, and other adventures he has embarked on. The book, released in September of 2025, was actually accompanied by an album titled Artifacts from the Vault that contains 12 unreleased tracks he made as a film composer. General tickets for the tour are available starting today. So, if you're a big Police fan, that might be a fun book tour to get tickets to and go listen to his story.
Yeah, definitely. Dad interviewed Stuart Copeland, I think back in 2013 or 2014, and it's a really cool conversation. People can find it on our channel. Also, shout out to Laurie O'Sullivan tuning in from Ireland. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Laurie. All right. 90s heavy metal band Behemoth has been forced to cancel a handful of upcoming tour dates in Turkey, Parade reports. The band announced that the decision comes after interference from religious groups that have, quote, characterized our art as satanic propaganda and deemed it unacceptable, unquote, according to the band's official statement. They also shared that they have exhausted every avenue to appeal this decision with the Turkish government, but to no avail. They said, quote, we fought to make these shows happen, and we share your frustration and disappointment. Turkey has some of the most passionate and dedicated fans in the world, and we hope the day will come when we can return to Istanbul and Ankara and perform for you without interference. Until then, thank you for your unwavering support, unquote. So this is kind of a tale as old as time. People, even in America, this has happened, people believing that certain bands are like too satanic or dark or whatnot. But yeah, that must be really frustrating that they had these tour dates, but then they had to get pulled, after all those preparations. So hopefully there's a way forward at some point.
Yeah, certainly. I certainly hope so as well. All right, drummer Josh Freese recently told Modern Drummer that he's still not certain why Dave Grohl fired him from the Foo Fighters. In a new interview with Modern Drummer, he says, quote, one day it was nothing but laughs. We're on stage and Dave's looking at me every night like, you're killing it, dude. And then it was just over, unquote. Freese has a, quote, couple of small theories for the reason behind his firing, but he says, quote, can't really get into them right now, unquote. He added, I did really enjoy 2 years I spent with these guys, however, and they were good to me until they weren't. I liked playing with them. I loved having Dave Grohl as a band leader. I truly respect him so much as a drummer first and foremost. To me, he's a drummer first and everything else is second. I've listened to him on all the great records he's played drums on more than I've listened to any Foo Fighters stuff, unquote. Josh Freese is currently touring with Nine Inch Nails. Very interesting. There was that whole switch between Nine Inch Nails and the Foo Fighters with their band members back in like May of 2025 or so. So very interesting news, and hopefully they can, eventually be on good terms again.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's holding back on the small theories because, he might not be 100% certain, and so doesn't want to feed the rumor machine so that people accept it as truth without knowing for sure. So maybe someday we'll know the whole story. But speaking of the Foo Fighters, they were kind of the reason behind a project mentioned in this next story. Last Friday, Rolling Stone ran an article by guitarist Jeff Miller about Rockin' 100, which involves 1,000 musicians performing simultaneously. According to the article, the beginnings of the project were as follows. Quote, in 2015, founder Fabio Zaffagnini had a wild idea. He wanted the Foo Fighters to play in his hometown of Cesena, Italy. So he crowdfunded a ridiculous stunt, assembling roughly 1,000 local musicians to perform Learn to Fly together in an open field. The video went viral. Dave Grohl loved it. The Foo Fighters came to town. Investors followed. And over the past decade, Rockin' 1000 has grown into a global operation, building an online community of musicians and staging massive concerts in spots like Italy, Brazil, Portugal, France, and now the United States, unquote. So this is a really fascinating project. It involves even amateurs and semi-professionals, and I'm honestly surprised I'd never heard of this before. 1,000 musicians playing all at once. That sounds like it'd be quite the spectacle. So yeah, people go ahead and check out that article from Rolling Stone. All right, so now we get to the end of the show.
Here's a reminder of what's coming up soon on Drum Talk TV.
Okay, be sure to submit your play-along videos to the Buddy Rich Tribute Drumming Challenge and a Trick of the Tail Drumming Challenge for a chance to win prizes. Free members of DrumTalkTVBrilliance.com can submit 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Remember, we still have that discount code, which I think Steven's going to get to right now.
Yeah, and you can also, again, it's DTTVB14, so use that at checkout. But also join us for the music-themed game show happening Tuesday, February 17th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for a chance to win prizes. The theme is love songs, and on that note, use the discount code DTTVB14 at checkout for the yearly option for a premium level membership over at DrumTalkTVBrilliance.com. And you can see all the events and upcoming stuff where you can win prizes and such. So again, the offer for this discount code is valid through February 15th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific US time. So thanks everyone for joining us. And Shali, as always, thanks again for co-hosting this.
Of course. Thank you, Steven. It's been great. And thank you for tuning in. And join us next week. We'll have even more music news for you.
All right. See you all soon, everyone.